What's going on, everybody? Kalipa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for the Google Pixel 6a to help you make the most of the camera. Now, before we go any further, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you want to learn more about this phone, I will be linking to several other videos about it in the description, as well as some information about pricing and availability, because this is always changing. But with all that being said, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to show you is a quick way to get to the camera. Now, of course, opening the camera app is easy enough, but if you're doing something else on your phone, like say you're on an app or something like that, then you might want a quicker and more convenient way to get to it. So no matter what you're doing on the phone, whether you're on your home screen or an app, all you gotta do is double press the power key like this, and it's gonna open the camera right up. So let's do that one more time from the home screen this time. And again, as you can see, the camera opens right up. And what's really cool about this shortcut is you can even use it when the phone is locked. So let's try it. There we go. As you can see, the screen is locked. And there we go. So no matter what you're doing on your phone, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you want to capture something really quickly in the moment, then this shortcut is definitely a nice thing to have. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use the ultra-wide camera. If you're ever in a situation where you want to fit more into your frame, maybe you're taking a group photo, scenery pictures, skyline photos, the list really goes on, the ultra-wide camera is going to make things a lot easier. So we're in the main camera app right now, and to access the ultra-wide camera, all you have to do is hit this little 0.6 right here. And as you can see, we are now in ultra-wide mode. And you can fit a lot more into the frame here. Now that's the main way to access the ultrawide camera, but an alternate way to do it is simply by pinching out like this. And as you can see, we are at 0.6, and you can also do anything between 1x and 0.6x. If you don't want to, you don't have to zoom out to the max. And then of course, to get out of ultrawide mode and go back to normal, simply hit the 1 right here, and we're gonna be right back to normal. The next thing I'm gonna show you is how to change the aspect ratio of your photo. Now, as you can see right here, I am currently in 16:9. I have a habit of taking photos like that, but by default, it will be 4:3. Now, if you ever want to change it, all you gotta do is go up to the settings icon, tap here, and the aspect ratio is right here. As you can see, you can choose between 16:9 and 4:3. Unfortunately, there's no 1:1 or full, which I thought was a little disappointing because pretty much every phone in this price range, and honestly even a lot lower than this, have that. So I would think that a phone like the Google Pixel 6a would have at least a couple more options, but at least we do get somewhat of a choice here. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use night mode. Now, there are really two ways to do this. If you ever find yourself in a darker setting, it's kind of going to do it automatically. So for example, if I go like this, it's automatically going to adjust. But if you want to use strictly night mode, all you got to do is go over here. And as you can see, we are in night sight, and when you're in this mode, things are going to look a lot better in the dark. But again, one thing I do want you to be aware of is that it does do this automatically when you're in a darker setting, and although when it does it automatically, I don't think it's strictly night mode. As you can see here, the pictures do actually turn out really well. So keep in mind that although you can manually activate night mode with this phone, since the sensor is so good, it's not really altogether necessary. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to mute the shutter sound. Now, in case you haven't noticed, whenever you take a picture with this phone, by default, it is going to make a noise. So as you can see there, I will say that's definitely not the most obnoxious camera sound I've heard. There are plenty of phones out there that are far worse. In fact, I personally kind of like it. But if you find yourself constantly taking all kinds of photos, then I could definitely see how the camera sound could get annoying. So I'm going to show you how to mute it. So this is a really easy thing to do. All you got to do is hit this gear icon right here, go to more settings, and from here, camera sounds, as you can see by default, will be on. Simply toggle it off. And now if we go back to the camera, it's no longer going to make any sounds. Now I'm going to show you a couple different things you can do with the volume keys. Now by default, if you press either of the volume keys, it's just going to activate the shutter. So if you're in photo mode, of course, it's going to take a photo. And if you're in video mode, it's going to record a video. Now, I personally like to keep it this way, but there are a couple different options, so let's take a look at them. So what we're going to do is go to settings, go to more settings. From here, go to gestures. And as you can see, volume key action is right here, only thing in the menu. I don't know why they made a separate menu for this, but regardless, go here. And as you can see, we got a few different options here. First one, again, by default, it will be shutter. So it's going to take a picture or record a video depending on the mode you're in. You can also use it to zoom, control the system volume, or you can turn it off entirely. So for this example, we're going to do zoom. So now if we go back to the camera, volume up is going to zoom in, and volume down is going to zoom out. So pretty cool. Again, I personally just like to keep it at shutter, but it's definitely nice that we do have some options here. Now I'm going to show you a feature called Top Shot. Now, to be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no idea why it's called this. It's basically this phone's version of something like live photo or motion photo, depending on which device you're coming from. So if you're taking a picture of something like a car moving or a bird flying or maybe somebody on a bike or something like that, it basically allows you to get a picture of something in motion without making it one giant blur. So to get to this feature, we're going to go to settings. And as you can see right here, Top Shot is on auto. And basically what that means is it's going to automatically detect whether or not it needs it. So if you are taking a picture of something in motion, for example, it's probably going to capture it. But if that's the main focus of your picture and you want to be absolutely certain that it is going to capture it, then you can always turn it to on. And if you want to save some space and you just don't need the feature, maybe you're taking a picture of a tree or something like that, then you can simply turn it off. Now we're going to take a look at the grid line feature. Now, as you can see, I personally already have it on. I usually turn these things off before I make these videos, but I forgot this time. But I will show you how to get to it. So of course, by default, the grid line is not going to be on. But if you want to turn it on, all you got to do is go to settings. From here, go to more settings. And from here, scroll down a bit. And grid type is going to be right here. As you can see, I have mine set to golden ratio, but you can also use 4x4, 3x3, or of course the default, which again is no grid. So I just turned mine off. If we go back to the camera, as you can see, the grid line is now off, and I'll go back there one more time. So settings, more settings, scroll down a bit, grid type. Now let's do 3x3. So now if I go back to the camera, as you can see, the grid is now back on in the new ratio. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to use Google Lens. Now I don't normally go over this feature when I do camera videos, but since this phone is literally a Google phone, I feel like it's only right that we take a look at it. So to get to the Google Lens feature from the main camera screen, what we're going to do is go to modes and go to lens right here. Now keep in mind the first time you use it, a permission screen is going to show up. So in case that happens to you and you're wondering what it is, just hit allow, it's completely normal. So as you can see, we are now in Google Lens and you can do all kinds of things with it. You can do stuff like translate things, convert text, use it for homework help. I'm not quite sure what this is. You can scan products and really all kinds of things. So for example, I'm just going to take a picture like this. And as you can see, it looks up the image online. So this definitely can be a really useful feature. Now honestly, to go over every single thing that's in Google Lens, it would be a whole nother video, but just know that if you ever want to use it, again from the main camera screen, just go to modes, and it's one of the only things in here. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is how to change your video resolution. Now with this phone, you can record in up to 4K at 60 frames per second in the rear camera and 1080p at 60 frames per second in the front. So definitely pretty impressive here. So let's take a look at how to set up the resolution. So from the main camera screen, of course, we're going to go to video mode. From here, go to settings. And as you can see, video resolution is right here. So again, as you can see here, you can choose between 4K or Full HD, which is 1080p. You can also change the frame rate down here. So as you can see, I have it set to 30 frames per second, but you can also go to 60. And if you're in 1080p, you can also use auto. But those were my camera tips and tricks for the Google Pixel 6a. In general, despite not having a bunch of fancy features, this phone really does have a great camera setup that takes really good photos and videos. Now again, if you want to learn more about this phone, be sure to check out my other videos about it on the channel, which I will be linking to in the video description, including the camera review with a bunch of different photo and video samples from the device. And of course, I'm also going to be putting some information in the description about pricing and availability because this is always changing. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow Kalipus Tech on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, I will see you in the next one.